The overlooked planet. In the vast expanse of the Milky Way, countless civilizations had risen and fallen, their histories etched into the cosmic tapestry. Among them, the Zarkonian Empire stood as a beacon of technological prowess and military might. For millennia, they had expanded their reach across the galaxy, subjugating or annihilating any species that dared to resist their rule. The Zarkonians' arrogance knew no bounds. Their fleets, comprised of ships that dwarfed entire cities, patrolled the space lanes with impunity. Their weapons could reduce planets to ash, and their shields could withstand the fury of dying stars. In their eyes, they were the pinnacle of evolution, destined to rule over all other life forms. It was in this context that the Zarkonian Empire first encountered Earth. The blue-green planet, teeming with life and potential, barely registered as a blip on their scanners. Initial reports dismissed humans as primitives, barely capable of leaving their own atmosphere. The Zarkonian High Council, in their infinite wisdom, decided that Earth wasn't even worth the resources required to conquer it. Let them fumble with their crude rockets and satellites, sneered Emperor Vexthor, his tentacles waving dismissively as he addressed his war council. When they finally manage to reach their own moon, perhaps then we'll consider them worthy of our attention. Little did the Zarkonians know that their dismissal of humanity would prove to be their gravest mistake. On Earth, governments and scientists had long been aware of the potential threats lurking in the cosmos. The detection of the Zarkonian Empire's existence, achieved through breakthroughs in quantum entanglement communication, had sent shockwaves through the highest echelons of power. Leaders from nations that had once been bitter enemies now found themselves united by a common purpose: the survival of the human race. In secret facilities buried deep beneath mountains and hidden in the hearts of rainforests, Earth's brightest minds worked tirelessly. They knew that conventional weapons and tactics would be useless against an enemy capable of traversing the stars. Humanity needed something revolutionary, something that would defy the very laws of physics as they understood them. Dr. Samantha Chen, a brilliant physicist with a penchant for thinking outside the box, led the charge in developing what would become humanity's greatest hope. Her team's focus was on harnessing the power of quantum fluctuations, a concept that had long been theoretical but never successfully applied to propulsion or weapon systems. "We can't outmuscle them," Samantha often reminded her team during late-night brainstorming sessions. "But we can outsmart them. They expect us to follow the same technological path they did. Our advantage lies in the unexpected." Years passed, and while the Zarkonians continued to ignore Earth, humanity made leaps and bounds in secret. The quantum fluctuation drive, once thought impossible, began to take shape. It promised not just faster-than-light travel, but the ability to manipulate the very fabric of space-time itself. Parallel to the propulsion system, weapons development took an equally unconventional path. Major Jack Harper, a decorated veteran with a background in theoretical physics, spearheaded the creation of what he called probability cannons. These weapons didn't fire projectiles or energy beams, but instead altered the quantum state of their targets, causing catastrophic failures in ship systems or even erasing portions of matter from existence. Imagine being able to fire a shot that makes it statistically impossible for an enemy ship to exist. Jack explained to a panel of awestruck military leaders. "We're not just changing the game. We're rewriting the laws of combat itself." As Earth's secret projects progressed, the Zarkonian Empire remained blissfully unaware. Their spies, scattered across the galaxy, occasionally sent reports of human advancements. These were invariably met with mockery and derision. "Look at these primitives," chuckled Zarkonian intelligence officer Krolvex, showing his colleagues images of Earth's latest space shuttle. "They celebrate sending a tin can into orbit while our ships traverse galaxies. It would take them millennia to catch up to us." This hubris extended to the highest levels of Zarkonian society. In their schools, Earth was used as an example of a primitive world, a cautionary tale of what happens to species that evolve too slowly. Zarkonian children learned to pity and look down upon humans. Seeing them, as little more than clever animals. Meanwhile, on Earth, the first prototype of what would become humanity's salvation neared completion. Hidden in a massive underground hangar beneath the Gobi Desert, the ship took shape. Unlike the sleek, streamlined vessels of the Zarkonian fleet, this prototype was a study in functionality over form. Its hull, composed of metamaterials that could adapt to different types of energy weapons, looked almost organic. The ship's interior was a maze of cutting-edge technology, much of which defied conventional understanding of physics. As the day of the first test flight approached, tension on Earth reached a fever pitch. World leaders gathered in a secure bunker, watching live feeds from the prototype's launch site. Dr. Chen and Major Harper stood side by side in the control room, their years of work culminating in this moment. Initiating quantum drive, Samantha's voice was steady, belying the butterflies in her stomach. Power levels nominal. Space-time, fabric integrity holding. The prototype, dubbed Phoenix, in a nod to humanity's hope for rebirth, began to hum with energy. It lifted off the ground, hovering silently in defiance of all known laws of physics. Then, in a flash of light that momentarily outshone the sun, it vanished. Seconds ticked by, feeling like an eternity to those watching. Had it worked? Or had they just witnessed the disintegration of their last hope? Suddenly, the communications array crackled to life. Control, this is Phoenix. We've successfully completed a jump to Mars orbit and back. All systems functioning beyond expected parameters. The control room erupted in cheers. Tears of joy and relief flowed freely. Humanity had done it. They had created a ship capable of instantaneous interplanetary travel, a vessel that could potentially stand up to the might of the Zarkonian Empire. As celebrations broke out across the globe, carefully controlled to maintain the project's secrecy, a sobering reality set in among Earth's leaders. They now possessed the means to defend themselves, but the true test lay ahead. How would their single ship fare against the vast fleets of an empire that spanned the stars? In the depths of space, oblivious to the revolution happening on the blue planet they had dismissed, a Zarkonian patrol ship passed by the outer edges of Earth's solar system. Its crew, bored and complacent, barely glanced at their scanners. Had they been paying attention, they might have noticed an anomalous energy spike near Mars. But they didn't, and their report back to High Command was the same as it had been for centuries. No significant developments. The stage was set. Humanity had created their ace in the hole, while the Zarkonian Empire continued to bask in its perceived invincibility. The galaxy held its breath, unaware that the balance of power was about to shift dramatically. The story of David versus Goliath was about to play out on a cosmic scale, with the fate of Earth hanging in the balance. As the first light of dawn broke over Earth's horizon, humanity stood on the precipice of a new era. They had taken their first steps into a larger universe, armed with technology that defied imagination. The question now was not if they would face the Zarkonian Empire, but when. And when that day came, the overlooked planet would show the galaxy that size and history were no match for innovation and the indomitable human spirit. The prototype unveiled. The successful test flight of the Phoenix marked a turning point in human history, but it was only the beginning. In the months that followed, Earth's united scientific community worked tirelessly to refine and improve their revolutionary technology. The quantum fluctuation drive was fine-tuned, allowing for even more precise jumps across vast distances. The probability cannons were upgraded, their effects becoming more predictable and devastating. Dr. Samantha Chen, now hailed as one of the greatest minds in human history, spent countless hours in the Phoenix's engine room, tweaking and adjusting. Every improvement we make could mean the difference between survival and extinction, she often reminded her team. The weight of responsibility was immense, but it drove them to push the boundaries of what was possible. Major Jack Harper, meanwhile, focused on training a crew capable of operating the most advanced ship ever built by human hands. We're not just training pilots and gunners, he explained to his hand-picked team. We're training the defenders of our entire species. Every decision you make in that cockpit could affect the fate of billions. As Earth prepared in secret, the Zarkonian Empire continued its expansion across the galaxy, oblivious to the threat growing in what they considered a backwater solar system. Emperor Vexthor, growing complacent in his power, began to seek new challenges to alleviate his boredom. "We've conquered every worthy adversary in this quadrant," he lamented to his war council. "Perhaps it's time we turned our attention to those primitive worlds we once ignored. It might provide some amusement to watch them tremble before our might." His advisors, eager to please, quickly pulled up a list of planets previously deemed unworthy of conquest. Earth's name was among them, a footnote in the vast database of the Empire. "Ah, yes, the blue planet with the bipedal life forms," Vexthor mused, his tentacles curling in amusement. What was it they called themselves? Humans. Let's pay them a visit. It's been a while since we've had a good laugh. The order was given. A Zarkonian battle fleet, consisting of hundreds of ships that could each lay waste to an entire continent, began its journey towards Earth. In their arrogance, they didn't bother with stealth or subterfuge. Why hide when you're certain of your superiority? Back on Earth, the early warning systems that had been quietly monitoring the edges of the solar system suddenly blared to life. In command centers across the globe, alarms sounded as the magnitude of the approaching threat became clear. World leaders convened in an emergency session. The moment they had prepared for, hoped would never come, was upon them. Humanity's hand had been forced. "We always knew this day might come," the Secretary General of the United Nations addressed the assembled dignitaries, her voice steady despite the fear evident in her eyes. "But we are not defenseless. Thanks to the brilliance of our scientists and the bravery of our military, we have a fighting chance." The decision was unanimous. The Phoenix would be deployed, not just as a defender, but as humanity's one true hope against an overwhelming alien force. As the Zarkonian fleet entered the solar system, bypassing the outer planets with casual disregard, Earth began its final preparations. The Phoenix, gleaming under the artificial lights of its underground hangar, was readied for launch. Dr. Chen ran her hand along the ship's hull, feeling the slight vibrations of the quantum drive humming to life. "We've poured everything we are into you," she whispered. "Don't let us down." Major Harper gathered his crew for one final briefing. Looking at each of them, he saw not just trained professionals, but the embodiment of humanity's hopes and dreams. "What we do today will echo through history," he said, his voice filled with determination. "No matter what happens, know that you carry the spirit of every human who has ever lived or ever will live. We are the guardians of our species, and we will not fail." As the Phoenix prepared to launch, a tense silence fell over the Earth. In cities across the globe, people gathered around screens, watching as their fate hung in the balance. Parents held their children close, lovers clasped hands, and strangers found solace in each other's company. The entirety of human civilization held its breath, waiting to see if their gamble would pay off. In orbit, the first wave of the Zarkonian fleet arrived. Their massive ships, each the size of a small moon, cast long shadows over the Earth. Emperor Vexthor, watching from the bridge of his flagship, allowed himself a smug smile. "Look at how primitive they are," he chuckled, gesturing to the satellites and space stations that constituted Earth's visible presence in space. "They don't even have a proper defense grid. This will be over before it begins." As if in answer to his arrogance, a blinding flash of light erupted from the Earth's surface. The Phoenix, its quantum drive engaged, leaped from its hidden base directly into low orbit. In an instant, humanity had revealed that they were far more advanced than the Zarkonians had ever imagined. Aboard the Phoenix, Major Harper gripped the controls, feeling the power thrumming through the ship. Dr. Chen monitored the quantum drive, ensuring that the sudden jump hadn't destabilized any systems. The rest of the crew, each trained to the peak of human ability, manned their stations with grim determination. For a moment, there was silence. The Zarkonian fleet, caught off guard by the sudden appearance of an unknown ship, hesitated. It was a hesitation born of confusion rather than fear. After all, what harm could one small ship do to their armada? Emperor Vexthor was the first to recover from the surprise. So the primitives have learned to build a proper spaceship, he sneered. How quaint. Destroy it, and then proceed with the subjugation of their world. Let's show them what real power looks like. The order was given, and the Zarkonian fleet sprang into action. Energy weapons capable of cracking planets charged up, targeting systems locked onto the lone human ship, and swarms of fighter craft were launched. Aboard the Phoenix, Major Harper's voice rang out clear and confident. This is what we've trained for. Remember, we're not just fighting for ourselves. We're fighting for everyone and everything we've ever known. Let's show these aliens what humanity is truly capable of. With that, the battle was joined. The Phoenix moved with a grace that defied its size, quantum jumping in microsecond bursts to evade the incoming fire. Each jump was precisely calculated, putting the ship exactly where it needed to be to avoid destruction. Dr. Chen's voice came over the intercom, tight with concentration. Quantum drive stable. We can keep this up, but we need to start hitting back. We can't win on defense alone. Major Harper nodded, though he knew she couldn't see him. Understood. Weapons team, prepare to fire probability cannons. Let's show them what happens when you underestimate humanity. The probability cannons, Earth's secret weapon, powered up. Unlike any weapon the Zarkonians had ever encountered, these didn't fire energy beams or physical projectiles. Instead, they altered the very fabric of reality around their targets. The first shot was fired at a Zarkonian destroyer that had strayed too close. For a split second, nothing seemed to happen. Then, to the astonishment of both sides, the destroyer simply ceased to exist. One moment it was there, a behemoth of advanced alien technology, and the next it was gone, leaving not even debris in its wake. On the bridge of his flagship, Emperor Vexthor's smug confidence vanished, replaced by shock and the first stirrings of fear. What was that? He demanded, his tentacles writhing in agitation. How did they do that? It's impossible. The human ship, so small compared to the vast Zarkonian fleet, suddenly didn't seem so insignificant. As the reality of the situation sank in, the Emperor realized that his easy conquest had turned into something far more dangerous. Back on Earth, cheers erupted in control rooms and public squares alike as news of the first successful attack spread. Humanity had drawn first blood against an enemy that had thought them helpless. Hope, which had been a fragile thing in the face of alien invasion, began to burn brighter. But the battle was far from over. The Zarkonian fleet, recovering from its initial shock, redoubled its efforts. Hundreds of ships converged on the Phoenix, determined to overwhelm it through sheer numbers if nothing else. Inside the human vessel, warning klaxons blared as the ship's systems were pushed to their limits. Dr. Chen's fingers flew over her console, rerouting power and making split-second adjustments to keep the quantum drive from overloading. "We can't keep this up forever," she warned, her voice strained. "The drive wasn't designed for this level of continuous use. We need to end this quickly." Major Harper, his face etched with concentration, nodded grimly. "Agreed. We've shown them we can hurt them. Now we need to show them we can win." He opened a channel to the weapons control room. "Prepare for a full salvo. We're going to hit them with everything we've got." As the Phoenix darted and weaved through the storm of Zarkonian fire, its crew worked in perfect harmony. Each member understood that they were the thin line standing between humanity and extinction. There was no room for error, no second chances. The ship's probability cannons charged to maximum capacity, drawing power from every non-essential system. The quantum drive spooled up, preparing for a series of rapid, complex jumps that would place the Phoenix in optimal firing positions. "On my mark." Major Harper's voice was steady, a rock in the storm of battle. 3, 2, 1. Fire. The Phoenix blinked out of existence, reappearing a split second later in the heart of the Zarkonian fleet. Before the alien ships could react, the probability cannons fired in rapid succession. Ship after ship vanished, erased from reality as if they had never existed. The Zarkonian fleet, which had begun the day certain of victory, found itself in disarray. Their weapons, powerful enough to shatter planets, seemed useless against this single human ship that defied the laws of physics as they understood them. Emperor Vexthor, watching his invincible armada be decimated by a foe he had dismissed as primitive, felt fear for the first time in his long life. "How?" he whispered, his earlier bravado gone. "How can they do this?" As the battle raged on, the tide began to turn. The once mighty Zarkonian fleet, which had fought to conquer Earth with ease, found itself fighting for survival against an enemy they couldn't understand or predict. On Earth, tensions ran high as people watched the battle unfold through long-range sensors and data feeds. The fate of their entire species hung in the balance, dependent on a single ship and its brave crew. As the Phoenix prepared for another attack run, Dr. Chen's voice came over the intercom, urgent and strained. "The quantum drive is reaching critical levels. We can't maintain this pace for much longer. Whatever we're going to do, we need to do it now." Major Harper, his uniform drenched in sweat, nodded grimly. "Understood. All hands, prepare for our final attack run. Let's finish this." The Phoenix, humanity's last hope, readied itself for one last, desperate gambit against the aliens who had fought to conquer them. The next few moments would determine not just the outcome of the battle, but the future of the human race and its place in the galaxy. As the ship prepared to jump once more into the fray, the crew shared a moment of silent understanding. Win or lose, they had proven that humanity was not to be underestimated. They had faced the greatest threat in their history and stood tall. With a flash of quantum energy, the Phoenix vanished, ready to write the final chapter in this unexpected war. The galaxy watched, holding its breath, as the overlooked planet Earth fought for its right to exist among the stars. David vs. Goliath. The Phoenix materialized in the heart of the Zarkonian fleet, its sudden appearance causing chaos among the alien ships. Major Harper's voice rang out clear and determined over the ship's comm system. "This is it, people. Everything we've worked for comes down to the next few minutes. Let's make Earth proud." Dr. Chen's fingers danced across her console, coaxing every last ounce of power from the straining quantum drive. "We've got maybe 2, 3 jumps left before the drive gives out," she warned. "Make them count." The Zarkonian fleet, still reeling from the devastating attacks, struggled to regroup. Emperor Vexthor, his earlier arrogance replaced by desperate fury, barked orders from his flagship. "Surround that ship. I want it destroyed, no matter the cost." As the alien vessels closed in, the Phoenix unleashed another salvo from its probability cannons. Space itself seemed to warp and twist as the beams lanced out, erasing Zarkonian ships from existence. But for every ship that vanished, 2 more took its place. "We're making a dent, but there's just too many of them," the weapons officer reported, his voice tense. Major Harper nodded grimly. "Then we need to take out their command structure. Dr. Chen, can you get us close to their flagship?" Samantha's eyes widened as she realized what he was suggesting. "It's risky. We'd be exposing ourselves to their entire fleet. But I think I can do it." "Then that's our play," Harper decided. "All hands, brace for extreme maneuvers. We're going after the big fish." The Phoenix vanished in a flash of quantum energy, reappearing dangerously close to the massive Zarkonian flagship. The alien vessel dwarfed the human ship, its size a testament to the Empire's might and arrogance. For a moment, both sides seemed too shocked by the audacious move to react. Then, all hell broke loose. The flagship's point defense systems came to life, filling space with a storm of energy bolts. The Phoenix ducked and weaved, its quantum drag allowing it to make split-second jumps to avoid the worst of the barrage. But it couldn't dodge everything. Alarms blared throughout the ship as damage reports flooded in. Hull breach on Deck 3. Shields down to 30%. We've lost the starboard probability cannon. Despite the chaos, the crew of the Phoenix worked with machine-like efficiency. Damage control teams rushed to seal breaches and reroute power, while the weapons team prepared for what might be their final shot. On the bridge of his flagship, Emperor Vexthor watched in disbelief as the tiny human ship continued to evade destruction. "Impossible," he muttered. "They're nothing but primitives. How can they stand against us?" As if in answer to his question, the Phoenix suddenly ceased its evasive maneuvers. For a split second, it hung motionless in space, a perfect target for the Zarkonian guns. Major Harper's voice was calm as he gave the order. "Fire everything." The remaining probability cannons discharged simultaneously, their beams converging on the Zarkonian flagship. Space itself seemed to bend around the massive vessel as the laws of physics were rewritten at a quantum level. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, with a silent flash that outshone nearby stars, a chunk of the flagship simply ceased to exist. The section containing the bridge, along with Emperor Vexthor and his entire command staff, vanished as if it had never been. The effect on the Zarkonian fleet was immediate and dramatic. With their leader gone, and their command structure in chaos, the once coordinated attack dissolved into confusion. But the Phoenix had paid a heavy price for its victory. The quantum drive, pushed beyond its limits, finally gave out. The ship hung motionless in space, surrounded by the remnants of the alien fleet. Inside, the crew worked frantically to restore power and repair critical systems. Dr. Chen, her face streaked with sweat and soot, called out from her station. "The drive's completely fried. We're sitting ducks out here." Major Harper surveyed the scene before him. The Zarkonian fleet, while disorganized, still outnumbered them thousands to one. Without the quantum drive, the Phoenix's main advantage was gone. "Options?" he asked, his voice steady despite the dire situation. For a moment, silence reigned on the bridge. Then, a young ensign spoke up. "Sir, what if we broadcast? Let them see who they're fighting." Harper raised an eyebrow. "Explain." "Well, sir," the ensign continued, gaining confidence, "they've never seen us up close. They think we're primitives. What if we show them we're not? Maybe we can end this without more bloodshed." Dr. Chen nodded slowly. "It's risky, but it might be our only choice. We can't fight anymore, but maybe we can talk." Major Harper considered for a moment, then nodded. "Do it. Open a channel to the entire Zarkonian fleet, visual and audio." As the communication officers worked to establish the link, Harper straightened his uniform and stood tall. He knew that in this moment, he would be speaking not just for the crew of the Phoenix, but for all of humanity. The view screen flickered to life, showing the interior of the Phoenix's bridge to the stunned Zarkonian fleet. Harper looked directly into the camera, his gaze unwavering. "This is Major Jack Harper of the Earth ship Phoenix," he began, his voice clear and strong. "We have destroyed your flagship and killed your emperor. We have the power to erase your ships from existence with a single shot. But we don't want to destroy you." He paused, letting his words sink in. "We are not the primitives you thought we were. We are humanity. We have faced extinction and chosen to fight back. We have taken your best shot and are still standing. But we are not conquerors. We do not seek to rule over you or destroy you." Throughout the Zarkonian fleet, alien eyes were fixed on screens, seeing for the first time the faces of the beings they had dismissed as insignificant. They saw not primitives, but a proud, determined species that had managed to stand against the might of their empire. Harper continued, his words carrying the weight of humanity's hopes and dreams. "We offer you a choice. Continue this battle, and we will fight to our last breath. The cost to both our peoples will be unimaginable, or we can end this now. We can talk. We can find a way to coexist in this vast galaxy." He spread his arms, gesturing to his crew. "Look at us. We are not so different from you. We breathe, we think, we feel. We love our homes and families just as you do. Is this not a basis for understanding?" The silence that followed seemed to stretch for an eternity. On Earth, billions held their breath, watching the broadcast and waiting to see if this desperate gambit would pay off. Finally, a response came. On the view screen, the face of a Zarkonian appeared. Its tentacles were drawn in close, a sign of uncertainty in their species. "I am Sub-Commander Zrelvax," the alien said, its voice translated by the ship's computers. "With the loss of our Emperor, I speak for the fleet. Your words are unexpected. We were told you were savages, incapable of such technology or reason." Harper nodded solemnly. "We have been underestimated, Sub-Commander, but we bear you no ill will for this mistake. We ask only for the chance to prove ourselves as equals." Zrelvax was quiet for a moment, its large eyes blinking as it considered. "You have certainly proven your capability in battle," it said finally. Perhaps there is wisdom in your words. We have lost much this day. To continue would be illogical." A collective sigh of relief swept through the Phoenix. On Earth, cheers began to erupt in control rooms and public squares. "Then let us end this conflict," Harper said, allowing a small smile to cross his face. "Let this be the beginning of a new chapter for both our peoples, one of mutual respect and understanding." The next few hours were a flurry of activity. As the Phoenix's crew worked to repair their ship, delegations were hastily arranged. The Zarkonian fleet, under Zrelvax's command, agreed to withdraw to the edge of the solar system as a sign of good faith. On Earth, governments scrambled to prepare for the unthinkable, peaceful first contact with an alien species. The United Nations convened an emergency session to select representatives for the upcoming negotiations. As the immediate danger passed, the crew of the Phoenix finally had a moment to reflect on what they had accomplished. In the ship's mess hall, now doubling as an impromptu meeting room, Major Harper addressed his team. "I won't lie to you," he began, his voice heavy with emotion. "When we launched, I wasn't sure we'd live to see another day. But you all proved me wrong. You proved the entire galaxy wrong." Dr. Chen, her face still smudged with engine grease, raised a glass of recycled water. "To humanity," she said simply. "May we always defy expectations." A cheer went up from the assembled crew. They had faced the impossible and emerged victorious. More than that, they had opened the door to a new era for their species. As the celebrations continued, Harper slipped away to the bridge. Looking out at the stars, he allowed himself a moment of quiet reflection. They had won the battle, but the real challenge was just beginning. How would humanity handle its newfound place on the galactic stage? The comm system chirped, interrupting his thoughts. It was a message from Earth. The first round of negotiations with the Zarkonians was set to begin in 48 hours. The Phoenix and its crew were being called home to help prepare. With a deep breath, Harper gave the order to set course for Earth. As the ship began its journey home, he couldn't help but feel a sense of profound change. The universe had suddenly become much larger, and humanity's place in it far more significant. The overlooked planet had proven its worth. David had stood against Goliath and emerged victorious. But the story was far from over. In fact, Harper realized it was only just beginning. As the Phoenix approached Earth, its hull still bearing the scars of battle, Harper made a silent promise. Whatever came next, whatever challenges lay ahead in this new galactic age, humanity would face them head-on. They had earned their place among the stars, and they would not squander it. The ship entered Earth's atmosphere, descending towards a world forever changed. In the distance, the first lights of a new dawn began to break over the horizon. It was, Harper realized, the dawn of a new era for humanity. An era born in fire and quantum fluctuations, tempered by determination and hope. As they touched down on the landing pad, surrounded by cheering crowds and flashing cameras, Harper turned to his crew. "Remember this moment," he said softly. "This is where it all changes. This is where we become more than we ever dreamed possible." With those words, the doors of the Phoenix opened, and humanity took its first steps into a larger universe. The age of Earth's isolation was over. The age of galactic citizenship had begun. Turning the tide. The days following the Phoenix's return to Earth were a whirlwind of activity. As the ship touched down amidst cheering crowds, the crew found themselves thrust into the spotlight as heroes of humanity. Major Harper, Dr. Chen, and the rest of the team were whisked away to high-level briefings and hurried preparations for the impending negotiations with the Zarkonians. In a secure conference room deep within the United Nations headquarters, world leaders and top scientists gathered to plan humanity's approach to this new galactic reality. The room buzzed with a mixture of excitement and apprehension. "We've proven we can stand up to them militarily," one general argued, "but can we match them diplomatically?" Dr. Chen, still wearing her Phoenix uniform, stood up to address the room. "With all due respect, we need to move past thinking of this as us versus them. The Zarkonians have agreed to negotiate. That's our opportunity to reshape the relationship entirely." Major Harper nodded in agreement. "Dr. Chen is right. We've shown them our strength. Now we need to show them our wisdom." As the debate continued, a message arrived from the Zarkonian fleet. Sub-Commander Zrelvax, now acting as the de facto leader of the alien armada, requested to move the negotiations to neutral ground, a space station to be hastily constructed at the midpoint between Earth and the Zarkonian fleet's current position. The proposal sent ripples of concern through the assembled leaders. Can we trust them? What if it's a trap? The questions flew thick and fast. It was Harper who finally silenced the room. "If we can't take this step, then our victory means nothing. We have to trust that they're as committed to peace as we are." After hours of debate, a decision was reached. Earth would agree to the neutral location, but with conditions. The Phoenix, despite its battle damage, would escort the human delegation. Its quantum technology, even if not fully operational, would serve as a deterrent against any potential betrayal. As preparations for the historic meeting got underway, the crew of the Phoenix found themselves in an unexpected role: cultural ambassadors. With their first-hand experience facing the Zarkonians, they were tasked with briefing the diplomatic team on what to expect. In a hastily repurposed lecture hall, Dr. Chen stood before a group of Earth's top diplomats, gesturing to a holographic display of Zarkonian physiology. "Their biology is radically different from ours, but there are surprising similarities in how we think. They value hierarchy, order, and," she paused for emphasis, "they respect strength. We've shown them that. Now we need to show them we can be partners, not just adversaries." Major Harper took over, discussing Zarkonian military tactics and social structures. They'd been the dominant force in their part of the galaxy for millennia. This may be the first time they've encountered a species they see as equals. We need to be prepared for the fact that this is as new and frightening for them as it is for us. As the diplomatic crash course continued on Earth, activity in space reached a fever pitch. The construction of the neutral space station became a joint project, with human and Zarkonian engineers working side by side. It was a tentative first step towards cooperation, filled with moments of confusion, surprise, and even occasional humor as the two species learned to communicate and work together. On board the Phoenix, now docked at the newly constructed station, the crew watched the proceedings with a mixture of pride and nervousness. They had fought for this moment, but the enormity of what was about to happen weighed heavily on them. Dr. Chen found Major Harper in the ship's observation deck, staring out at the stars. "Penny, for your thoughts?" she asked, moving to stand beside him. Harper was quiet for a moment before responding. "I keep thinking about how close we came to annihilation. If we hadn't developed the quantum drive, if we hadn't taken that risk, Earth might be a cinder by now." Samantha nodded solemnly. "But we did take that risk. We did develop the drive. And now we're here, about to change the course of human history. As they spoke, a flash of light announced the arrival of the Zarkonian diplomatic shuttle. The moment of truth had arrived. The conference room aboard the station was a marvel of hasty engineering and diplomatic compromise. One half was designed to accommodate human physiology, the other adapted for the tentacled Zarkonians. In the center, a large table made of a neutral material separated the two sides. As the human delegation entered, led by the Secretary General of the United Nations, they found themselves face to face with their former enemies. Sub-Commander Zrelvax, now bearing the insignia of acting emperor, led the Zarkonian team. For a moment, silence reigned as both sides took in the historic nature of the moment. Then, in a gesture that would be replayed on news broadcasts across Earth for years to come, the Secretary General stepped forward and extended her hand. Zrelvax, after a moment's hesitation, reached out with a tentacle and grasped it. The first official handshake between humanity and an alien species was awkward, slightly comical, but deeply meaningful. On behalf of the people of Earth, the Secretary General began, her voice steady. "We welcome you in peace." Zrelvax's translator conveyed his response. "And we come in peace, with hope for understanding between our peoples." With those words, the negotiations began in earnest. Over the next several days, both sides worked tirelessly to bridge the vast gaps in culture, technology, and galactic politics that separated them. The humans learned of the vast Zarkonian Empire, its history of conquest, and the rigid hierarchical structure that had defined it for millennia. In turn, they shared Earth's history, its diversity of cultures and ideas, and the principles of democracy and individual freedom that had shaped their societies. There were moments of tension, particularly when discussing the future of Earth's quantum technology. The Zarkonians, still reeling from the devastating effectiveness of the probability cannons, were wary of leaving such power in human hands. It was during one such heated debate that Dr. Chen, present as a scientific advisor, proposed an unexpected solution. What if, she suggested, instead of seeing this technology as a weapon, we viewed it as an opportunity for collaboration? Her words caught both sides off guard. "Explain," Zrelvax demanded, his tentacles twitching with interest. "Our quantum drive and your faster-than-light technology both have strengths and weaknesses," Chen continued. "What if we combined them? Created something new together? It could revolutionize space travel for both our species." The proposal sent shockwaves through both delegations. The idea of sharing such advanced technology was unprecedented. Yet, as discussions continued, the potential benefits became clear. A joint technological venture could not only advance both species, but also serve as a powerful symbol of their new alliance. As the negotiations progressed, news of the historic meeting spread across Earth. People gathered in homes, public squares, and virtual spaces to watch and discuss every development. The fear and tension that had gripped the planet during the battle gradually gave way to hope and excitement about the possibilities that lay ahead. In schools, children who had days ago been practicing duck and cover drills for alien invasion were now learning about Zarkonian culture and physiology. Universities scrambled to establish xenobiology and xenopolitics departments. The entire planet seemed to be holding its breath, waiting to see what this new era would bring. Back on the space station, as the negotiations entered their final phase, Major Harper found himself in an unexpected conversation with a Zarkonian officer. They had been tasked with discussing potential military cooperation, a concept that would have seemed impossible just days earlier. "Your tactics during the battle," the Zarkonian said, its tentacles moving in what Harper had learned was a gesture of respect. "They were unprecedented. We had no defense against your quantum weapons." Harper nodded, choosing his words carefully. "We developed them out of necessity. We knew we couldn't match your numbers or conventional firepower." The Zarkonian was quiet for a moment before responding. "It occurs to me that perhaps we have much to learn from each other. Your adaptability, your innovative thinking. These are qualities our empire has lacked for too long." As Harper relayed this conversation to the human delegation, it became clear that the negotiations were about more than just preventing future conflict. They were about forging a partnership that could benefit both species in ways they had never imagined. On the final day of talks, as both sides prepared to sign the historic accords that would establish peace and cooperation between Earth and the Zarkonian Empire, an unexpected message arrived from Earth. The Phoenix, which had been undergoing repairs and upgrades, was ready for a test flight. Would the Zarkonian delegation be interested in observing? The invitation, extended in a spirit of openness and trust, was accepted with enthusiasm. And so, as the ink dried on the Galactic Peace Treaty, human and Zarkonian representatives boarded the Phoenix together. Dr. Chen, at her station in the engine room, felt a surge of emotion as she initiated the quantum drive. This time, instead of using it to flee or fight, they would be using it to showcase the potential of cooperation. As the ship prepared to jump, Major Harper's voice came over the intercom. To all aboard, human and Zarkonian alike, welcome to the future. A future we'll build together. With a flash of quantum energy, the Phoenix disappeared from the space station, reappearing instantaneously in orbit around Mars. The Zarkonians, despite their advanced technology, were awestruck by the feat. As the red planet filled the view screen, Acting Emperor Zrelvax turned to the Secretary General. I believe, it said, its voice filled with genuine warmth, that this is the beginning of a most fascinating journey for both our peoples. The Secretary General smiled, extending her hand once again. This time, the handshake between human and Zarkonian was firm, confident, and full of promise. As the Phoenix began its return journey to Earth, carrying with it the architects of a new galactic alliance, the crew couldn't help but reflect on how much had changed in such a short time. They had gone from facing extinction to standing on the brink of a new age of exploration and cooperation. Dr. Chen, looking out at the stars that now seemed full of possibility rather than threat, summed up the feelings of many. We reached for the stars, she said softly, and found not just new worlds, but new friends. The quantum drive hummed to life once more, ready to carry them home. But home, they all realized, had become a much bigger place. It now extended beyond the boundaries of Earth, beyond their solar system, to encompass a galaxy full of wonders waiting to be discovered. As Earth grew larger in the view screen, Major Harper gave the order to begin landing procedures. The Phoenix, once Earth's secret weapon, now descended as a symbol of peace and cooperation. It carried with it not just the hope of humanity, but the promise of a new galactic order. The tide had turned, not just in a single battle, but in the course of human history. As the ship touched down on Earth's soil, it marked not an ending, but a beginning. The beginning of humanity's journey as a true galactic civilization, ready to face whatever challenges and wonders the universe had in store. A new galactic order. In the years that followed the historic first contact and peace negotiations with the Zarkonians, Earth underwent a transformation unlike anything in human history. The dawn of a new era brought with it challenges and opportunities that reshaped every aspect of human society. 5 years after the Phoenix's fateful battle, Major Jack Harper stood on the observation deck of Harmony Station, a massive space habitat jointly constructed by humans and Zarkonians in Earth's orbit. The station served as a symbol of cooperation and a hub for galactic diplomacy. Quite a view, isn't it? Dr. Samantha Chen's voice startled Harper from his reverie. She joined him at the window, her eyes reflecting the blue marble of Earth below. Harper nodded, a small smile playing on his lips. Sometimes I still can't believe how far we've come. Indeed, the changes had been staggering. The sharing of technology between Earth and the Zarkonian Empire had accelerated human advancement by centuries. Clean energy solutions derived from quantum technology had eliminated fossil fuel dependence. Medical breakthroughs using Zarkonian biotechnology had cured diseases once thought incurable. But perhaps the most significant change was in humanity's perspective, the knowledge that they were not alone in the universe, and that they could stand as equals with an advanced alien civilization had profound effects on human psychology and culture. "The new Hong Kong spaceport is opening next week," Chen remarked, pointing to a glittering structure rising from the planet's surface. "First commercial flights to Mars. Can you believe it?" Harper shook his head in amazement. Just a few years ago, the idea of routine civilian space travel to other planets would have seemed like science fiction. Now, it was becoming a reality. As they watched, a ship unlike any other emerged from Earth's atmosphere. It was the culmination of the Joint Human-Zirconian Technology Initiative, a vessel that combined Earth's quantum drive with Zirconian energy systems. It was christened the Odyssey, and it represented the next leap forward in space exploration. "The Odyssey's maiden voyage to Alpha Centauri," Chen said, her voice filled with excitement. "We're about to become an interstellar species, Jack." The implications were staggering. Humanity was no longer confined to its solar system. The stars, once thought unreachable, were now within grasp. But Earth's rapid advancement and new position in the galactic community had not come without challenges. The sudden influx of alien technology and ideas had caused social upheaval. Traditional power structures were disrupted, and new philosophical and religious movements emerged to grapple with humanity's place in a much larger universe. Moreover, not everyone in the galaxy welcomed Earth's rise. Some factions within the Zirconian Empire resented the peace accord, viewing it as a sign of weakness. Other alien civilizations, hearing of the defeat of the once invincible Zirconians, regarded the newcomers with a mixture of fear and curiosity. "We've been invited to the Galactic Council," Harper said, breaking the silence. "As full members." Chen's eyes widened. The Galactic Council was the governing body that oversaw relations between the major civilizations of the Milky Way. Earth's admission would mark its official recognition as a significant galactic power. "That's incredible," she breathed. "Though I imagine not everyone's happy about it." Harper nodded grimly. "The Vrek Consortium has lodged a formal protest. They claim we're too young a species, that we haven't proven ourselves worthy." The Vrek, a mercantile alien race known for their cunning and vast trade networks, had been skeptical of Earth from the beginning. They saw humanity's rapid rise as a threat to the established order. "They're afraid," Chen said simply. "We've accomplished in 5 years what took other species centuries. It scares them." As if to underline her point, a notification chimed on Harper's comm device. It was a security alert from Earth's new Galactic Intelligence Division. A Vrek trade ship had been caught attempting to smuggle restricted quantum technology out of the solar system. Harper sighed. "Looks like we got ourselves a new Cold War brewing." But even as new challenges emerged, the spirit of exploration and cooperation that had been kindled by the Zirconian encounter continued to burn bright. The Odyssey's launch was just the beginning. Plans were already underway for deep space missions, the establishment of extrasolar colonies, and participation in grand scientific endeavors alongside other alien races. Education on Earth had been revolutionized. Children now grew up learning not just human history, but galactic history. Xenobiology, xenolinguistics, and astropolitics became standard subjects in schools. The brightest minds of the younger generation dreamed not just of being astronauts, but of being ambassadors to alien worlds. As Harper and Chen left the observation deck, they passed through the station's grand concourse. It was a marvel of cross-species architecture, designed to accommodate a variety of alien physiologies. Humans mingled freely with Zirconians, and representatives from a dozen other alien races could be seen going about their business. "Ambassador Harper." "Dr. Chen," a voice called out. They turned to see Zrelvax, the former Zirconian sub-commander, now serving as his species' chief diplomat to Earth. "I trust you'll both be attending the Odyssey launch ceremony." "Wouldn't miss it for the world," Harper replied with a smile. "Or should I say, for the galaxy." Zrelvax's tentacles rippled in what they had learned was the Zirconian equivalent of laughter. "Indeed, it is a momentous occasion for both our peoples." As they chatted, A group of human and Zarkonian children ran past, engrossed in some cross-cultural game. It was a sight that would have been unimaginable just a few years ago. The offspring of former enemies, playing together without a care in the world. You know, Chen mused, watching the children. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if we hadn't developed the quantum drive. If we hadn't been able to stand up to the Zarkonian fleet that day. Zrelvak's expression turned somber. I fear the outcome would have been unfortunate. The empire of that time was not known for its mercy. Harper nodded. We came so close to annihilation. But instead, we found friendship. And in doing so, Zrelvax added, you helped us rediscover a part of ourselves we had lost. The empire had become stagnant, cruel. Your defiance forced us to reevaluate everything we thought we knew. The conversation was interrupted by another alert on Harper's comm device. This one was from Earth's newly established Synoarchaeology Department. An expedition to a distant world had uncovered ruins of an ancient civilization, one that predated both humanity and the Zarkonian Empire. Looks like we got more mysteries to solve, Harper said, showing the others the message. Chen's eyes lit up with scientific curiosity. The galaxy just keeps getting bigger, doesn't it? As they discussed the implications of the discovery, a commotion near one of the docking bays caught their attention. A ship of unfamiliar design had just arrived, its hull bearing markings none of them recognized. New contact, Harper muttered, immediately switching into diplomatic mode. Zrelvax, any idea who they might be? The Zarkonian shook his head. No, this design is unfamiliar to me. Perhaps a species from beyond the Empire's former borders. They watched as the ship's airlock cycled open. The being that emerged was unlike anything they had seen before, a creature of swirling energy contained within a vaguely humanoid form. Welcome to Harmony Station, Harper said, stepping forward to greet the newcomer. I'm Ambassador Jack Harper of Earth. The beam pulsed with light as it responded, its words translated by the station's advanced systems. Greetings, children of Earth and Zarkon. We are the Ethereals, and we have traveled far to meet you. As Harper engaged in first contact protocols with yet another alien species, he couldn't help but marvel at how routine such an extraordinary event had become. Earth, once an isolated planet on the edge of the galaxy, was now a crossroads of interstellar civilization. The arrival of the Ethereals and the discovery of the ancient ruins were just the latest in a series of events that continued to expand humanity's understanding of the universe. Each day brought new challenges, new wonders, and new opportunities for growth. Later that evening, as the Odyssey prepared for its historic launch, Harper found himself once again on the observation deck. The ship gleamed in the reflected light of Earth, a testament to what could be achieved when different species worked together. Dr. Chen joined him, along with Zrelvax and a small group of human and alien dignitaries. As the final countdown began, Harper felt a sense of profound gratitude and hope. You know, he said softly, 5 years ago, I thought I was fighting to save Earth. I never imagined I'd be helping to chart a course for our entire species. Chen squeezed his hand. We all played our part. And now look at us, about to take our first real steps into the galaxy. Zrelvax's tentacles rippled in agreement. And you will not walk that path alone. Whatever the future holds, we face it together. The quantum drive engaged, and in a flash of light that outshone the stars, the Odyssey vanished, bound for Alpha Centauri and beyond. As cheers erupted throughout the station, Harper felt a profound sense of anticipation. The universe, vast and mysterious, lay open before them. Humanity had faced its greatest challenge and emerged not just victorious, but transformed. They had found their place among the stars, forged alliances with beings once thought to be the stuff of science fiction, and stood poised on the brink of discoveries beyond imagination. As the celebration continued around him, Harper's thoughts turned to the future. What new wonders would the Odyssey discover? What challenges would arise as humanity pushed further into the galaxy? How would Earth continue to evolve as it took its place in the grand tapestry of galactic civilization? One thing was certain: the journey that had begun with a single desperate battle had led to a destiny grander than anyone could have imagined. Humanity, once alone and vulnerable, now stood tall among the stars, ready to write its own chapter in the cosmic story. As the last glimpse of the Odyssey faded from view, Harper raised his glass in a toast. "To the future," he said, his voice filled with emotion. "May we always reach for the stars, and may we never forget the spirit that brought us here." The assembled crowd, human and alien alike, echoed the sentiment. In that moment, on a space station orbiting a once lonely planet, the promise of a new galactic order shone as brightly as the stars themselves. The story of Earth's rise from obscurity to galactic prominence was far from over. In fact, it was just beginning. But as Harper looked out at the sea of faces, human, Zarkonian, and now ethereal, he knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together. The overlooked planet had found its voice, its strength, and its place in the universe, and the galaxy would never be the same again.